Heads I win, tails you lose. You can't beat us. We got the power. You want us to pay taxes? Well, we're going to throw you out of work and move to another state. That is the arrogance of the billionaire class right now. And I want to give you an example. We live in a country where the effective tax rates of billionaires is lower than it is for truck drivers or nurses. And that is why I introduced legislation, which Graham will be by my side in fighting for, which says that we are going to impose a 5% annual wealth tax on the 938 billionaires in America. Now, I want to take a moment, allow me to take a moment just to give you an example, one example of what the massive level of income and wealth inequality in America is about. Stay with me. If that 5% tax on fewer than 1,000 billionaires were to go into effect tomorrow, this is what it would mean. It would mean that every man, woman, and child in America living in a household of less than $150,000, that's most Americans, every man, woman, and child would get a $3,000 check. If we pass that tax, it would tackle the housing crisis by providing the resources necessary to build 7 million units of low-income and affordable housing. If we pass that legislation, it would expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing, and vision. If we pass that legislation, it would bring about universal child care in America. If we pass that legislation, no teacher in our country would be earning less than $60,000 a year. If we pass that legislation, we would restore health care to the 15 million people that Trump threw off of their health care. And here is the irony. You do all of that and more by a 5% annual tax on fewer than 1,000 billionaires. And I know that many of you are worried about what this would do to the billionaires. Oh my God, would they be forced to go on welfare? Would they be forced to sell one of their private islands? Would they be forced not to take their spaceships as joyrides? So I want to reassure you, because I know you're worried about them. So let me give you an example. If this tax were to be passed, Elon Musk would pay $39 billion more in taxes, but it would leave him with just $737 billion to try to survive. I know, hey, look, you know what the price of gas is now? You know, the price of housing, guys, only left with $737 billion for Bernie's confiscatory and radical tax on poor Elon. Jeff Bezos, would owe about $14 billion more, and he would really be in trouble. I mean, he would learn what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, getting down to mere $265 billion in wealth. The point that I'm making is these guys have so much wealth, and they're using their wealth to create more and more power for themselves, to make sure that the Congress does not stand up to them. But beginning to take them on can transform this country from top to bottom. As I think you heard from Troy and Graham, what we need to do is not just elect these guys. And I want to tell you something else, is that all over this country, we are seeing people understand that establishment politics and same old economic policies are no longer good enough. I want to tell you, just as some of you know, 6 months or so ago, a friend of mine in New York City, he started his campaign at 1% in the polls. He took on the Democratic establishment, he took on the Republican establishment, he took on the President of the United States, he took on the oligarchs of New York City, and that gentleman, Zohran Mamdani, is now mayor of New York. A good friend of mine, Analilia Mejia from New Jersey, started her campaign for Congress. Virtually nobody knew who she was. She ran a strong grassroots campaign. She is now a congresswoman from New Jersey. An iron worker from Ohio took on the establishment, and he won a landslide victory a few weeks ago in the Democratic primary. All over this country, working people, including Republicans, understand that the economy is rigged, that the campaign finance system is corrupt, that in fact we need a political revolution. And what Mamdani did in New York City is put together a grassroots coalition of 100,000 volunteers. He did that in the most urban part of America, largest city in this country. You in Maine now have the opportunity to show the world that we could do the same thing in one of the most rural states in this country. Don't let anybody tell you we can't do it. Yeah, they got the money, they got the power, but we've got the people. And when we don't allow Trump to divide us up by where we were born or the color of our skin or our sexual orientation, when we come together as one people, we can take on the oligarchs, we can beat them, and we can create the nation that works for all of us, not just the few. Thank you very much.